Hey guys, so we're back. I told you I wanted to come back and we're gonna go over night two of WrestleMania. My thoughts on the matches. I want to just start this by saying I honestly felt like night one was better. That's not saying that we didn't have good matches last night for night two, but I think the better matches were night one. Let's start with the first match, which was Brock Lesnar versus Omos. No titles involved here, just two big men. Okay, and I thought it went well. Not anything necessarily fancy, was not long, didn't need to be. But it did showcase, I think, these two men to a decent advantage. I don't know that it necessarily sets anything up in the future for them, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. Alright, we then had the women's showcase match. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalia and Shotzi, Ronda Rousey and Shayna, and Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. This had some interesting spots. I did like the touch when Chelsea Green was first tagged in. She was completely, no, I'm not entering this competition. I don't want anything to do with this. And yet you went into the qualifier to get into it. But that's her character, and I think it's somewhat working for her. We will see where that leads us. It had some interesting spots. We had one with Natalia pulling off a double finisher there, double sharpshooter, which is interesting. That was Deville and Green that she put into that. So that was kind of a neat spot. Didn't last super long and it wasn't meant to. At the end of the day, the outcome was what we expected, and that is Ronda and Shayna winning and more than likely getting that opportunity for a tag team title opportunity, which that's kind of where we felt that this was really going. So it did that job. I don't know how much other storylines it really set up for the rest of the tag division, but I guess it did its job there. It wasn't terrible. We then had probably one of the matches of the night. Intercontinental Champion Gunther put that on the line against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. These three guys, these are big guys, and they put everything out there. Honestly, they did. And I think even with Gunther retaining this title, I think you definitely still set things up for the potential for things between Drew and Sheamus, which we have already seen. But for those two, that's fine, because they have enough personal things between them that they can pull off a match against each other still, and yet another feud, without any titles having to be involved. I was really, really hoping for Sheamus to win here, not because I have anything against Gunther or against him as a champion. Just it would have been nice to see that title on Sheamus, since it is the only one that he has not won. But there's still a story to tell there. And I think they did a good job with that. Alright, we then had the Raw Women's Championship match. This one was good. Not, I think, as good as the women's match from night one. We did have Asuka attempting to put that mist into Bianca's face, but missed. I'm going to take a moment here, though, to address their entrances, which were amazing. They went good in these entrances. I want to point out specifically Bianca's because it has since come out, especially in the press conference last night after the show, that there was a particular little girl. So I believe it was the one in the middle that Bianca came up behind. Apparently, her mother passed away earlier in the day, and she did not want to disappoint these other girls by having to back out, as well as missing out on what could be the opportunity of a lifetime from WrestleMania. So that is amazing that she went through with this performance. She gave it her all. You could not tell on her face that she had all of this going on. So huge kudos to that little girl. She did an amazing job with the tough situation. They did an actual great job. They moved fluidly together. Belair ends up continuing her title reign, which is fine. I know that this is probably not done yet, and I say this because for anyone that went to Twitter last night and noticed that on Twitter, Asuka was not very happy with the results. I don't see her leaving, guys. I don't. This is to continue this feud, and that's fine. That's great because these two are going to have a great story. I think they really will. Okay, we then have some very quick thinking on the part of Snoop Dogg. So, him and Miz are out there, and like on night one, Snoop sets up a match for Miz. This time, though, against Shane McMahon, who unfortunately very quickly into the match tore a quad. So, he was not able to continue the match. This could have ended up being a kind of uncomfortable moment, but it was not because of the quick thinking of Snoop Dogg to step into the match and finish it out. Very good thinking, and I feel like part of that is because of the industry, the music industry, him being part of. Right? He understands that being part of the entertainment industry, the show has to go on even when these things come out, and you have to be quick on your feet to do what you need to do to continue that show. And it was great that he entered the ring and he continued to keep the focus on what was happening in there and not Shane having to get helped out, at least as far as the viewing audience through the TV screen. We were able to see later the view from inside the arena with Shane being taken out, but this helped keep that focus where it needed to be at the moment while they helped him. Thankfully, it did not sound like it was a serious injury. I think he'll be okay. But that was very swift thinking on the part of Snoop Dogg. Before we go into this next match, I just wanted to put in here that I had hoped that there would have been more for Bobby Lashley aside from him bringing the trophy out. I was hoping for maybe an impromptu match that we did not end up getting. I think that will be okay. I feel like that will be addressed tonight on Raw, more than likely. And we may get some kind of match there, a build to some kind of storyline for him. It would have been nice to see, whether that was LA Knight, whether it was Bray Wyatt, a couple names thrown out there. So, moving on to one of the other matches of the night, and there were really three that I think did a really fantastic job. We had Edge versus the Demon, Finn Balor. The entrances for this were amazing. Edge started with his Brood theme. It was great. I loved it. The The Mask, he was literally channeling the demon himself. Which goes back to the comment that he made: to defeat the demon, you have to become the demon. You have to become the devil. Whatever. It was nice the way that was put in there. It did kick back to his original theme, which I think was nice. One other thing to point out here was they went with the original looking Hell in a Cell cage, as opposed to the red one that they've been using for a while. We definitely got to see more of a purple color with Finn. There was a lot of still some of the red paint. But the purple smoke was great. It indicates he is now part of the Judgment Day, and it lets you remember that he is there representing them. There were some great shots in this. The one that did cause a little concern and did cause a brief pause in the match was when Edge threw the ladder at Finn and it did hit his head. Learning from the press conference later in the night, there were some staples that needed to be put in, and you could see the blood on the mat after some of the shots. So you could tell that he had been broke open. It was a really well done match. It really was, I think. I feel like Edge helped a lot with just making sure that they did what they had to do with the match to keep him safe throughout the rest of it. But after they took care of him in that brief pause, he was able to, at the very least, finish out that match. Did end with the concerto, which I liked that finish. It felt good for it to end that way. I don't really know for certain where this goes for the two of them now, whether or not that ends things. I don't really know that it does. I feel like it did have to be Edge winning, but I don't know that Finn allows that to be the end of that conversation. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. One more match, and this one really was an emotional roller coaster for a lot of people. Roman versus Cody, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I was not super upset with the interference that happened at first with Sikoa. I didn't necessarily dislike or have any issues with the official eventually having to get Sikoa out of there. I am torn with the finish and having Jimmy and Jay come out and end up costing Cody the match. I'm torn because I understand that because this wasn't supposed to be the end of the story, that this was supposed to lead to more. And I understand that we will get that. And I'm excited to see where that goes. But part of that is because I am a regular viewer, right? The part that I struggle with is that this is... And if you guys feel differently about that, please drop a comment. Let me know. I would love to actually discuss this more. I feel like because this is the WrestleMania stage, and you have so many viewers throughout a casual audience, being you've got Snoop Dogg there, so you're bringing in the music entertainment industry. You still had Kiddo there. You're still bringing in some of that football casual audience, right? You had Bad Bunny there night one, so you maybe still have some of that casual music audience there. With that, I just feel like if I, in particular, maybe I'm completely wrong. If I were a casual viewer tuning in and I see the way that the United States Championship was defended, the way the Intercontinental Championship was defended, this is supposed to be the Universal Championship. This is supposed to be your world title. And I guess, in my opinion, there should be the rules should be upheld in it, right? Like, you should make sure that the match is clean. And I get that they didn't want to have it finished clean, partly because it wasn't meant to be Cody winning, and they didn't want Roman winning clean against Cody to continue that story and where it's going to be leading to. And this absolutely takes nothing away from Cody. It does not. I just feel like it was not the right call. If you need to continue the story and you need to continue to keep heat on Roman, you don't want Cody to lose clean. And that's where the struggle comes. Because you don't want him to lose clean. But you need for him to not win. And the only way to do that is for some dirty tricks. It's a struggle because Roman has used this tactic so often, and for the non-casual viewers, we've seen it happen, I think maybe a little too often during his title reign to make his title reigns continue to be legitimate. I feel like the legitimacy of his title reign slips away each time that they do this. And maybe I'm wrong. It's just part of the reason that I struggle with how this finished. It was a great match. These guys pulled out all of the stops. It had you on the edge of your seats. People were very emotionally involved, which means that it did its job. And it did its job in the place that it was by being that main event of night 2. And these two being in that main event and being main event caliber superstars. I would absolutely love to get some of your guys' takes on that. I'm learning to accept and look forward to seeing where they're going with it. We'll see whether that's tonight on Raw or a SmackDown on Friday. Honestly, I think a lot of people are looking to see those answers tonight on Raw, and it may not happen. Let's face it, Roman may not be there tonight to provide some of those answers. Cody may begin to start to put some of that storyline together tonight, where it will be maybe moved forward on SmackDown through Roman. We will see what this week holds for us with this fallout and heading into WrestleMania Backlash. I hope it leads to someplace good. Otherwise, I really feel like what they did here did not necessarily really help. But please drop your comments. Let me know what your thoughts were, especially in particular on that final match. I'm just very curious. There has been just a lot of talk about that ending. We will see you guys tomorrow. I am hoping to do yet another video tomorrow for Raw Tonight. Let's enjoy this Raw after WrestleMania. Thanks, guys.